Welcome to the Unique Antique Challenge Pet Edition, hosted by Krystal from Crafty Creech DIYs and Furniture Flips, and Melanie from Colored Caboose Creations. The challenge is to flip a piece of furniture or build one, keeping our furry friends in mind. I'm no stranger to upcycling furniture with pets in mind. Here's a little pet bed that I did from an upside-down table. And in 2017, another local business owner and myself did the Altoona Citywide Door Project to benefit the Humane Society and the Cancer Society. Here were two of my submissions: a fancy pet feeding station and a pet bed, both upcycled from doors. During the pandemic, I had a client that wanted a better solution than this for her cat, so I dreamed up using a cabinet with a similar design, and lo and behold, I got a curbside find and created this station to hold a leash, a chalkboard, and created that same opening with shelves to store the food, and their pet absolutely loved it, as you can see. Let me introduce you to my two favorite guys, my dog Grizz and my husband Tom. Here's the piece that I'm going to be making over to make it pet friendly. My plan is to make a feeding station as well as a drawer that can be pulled out for sleep. Also an area to store pet food and leashes. It's going to be a little frou-frou, so it might be better suited for a girl dog, but in the upper left corner is that adorable fabric that I want to use for the cushion, and there's lavender and daisies in it and lots of blues, so my main color is going to be Dixie Belle's Dusty Blue. And on the bottom left there's a Crazy Daisy stencil that I'd like to incorporate, and then in the upper middle is an Iron Orchid design transfer I'd like to use. Getting the handles off of some of these was a bit of a struggle. I had to repair a lot of the drawers. While I'm working, this little guy named Connor comes in with his people. He is adorable. Next, I put tape behind the openings. Originally, it had one pull on each side, and then whoever refinished it closed that up and put a more modern two-hole pull on. So I'm closing up those two holes, and we're going with a different drawer pull. And back to the original one-hole configuration, and I'm using Dixie Mud to fill up those holes. I'm going to be using some brand new hardware. There's a drop pull that I'll be putting in the top drawers, and then these other pulls that I'll be putting in the larger drawers. They coordinate well together, but they are mismatched. I want to use patina on them. There's a brand new color called yellow patina, and I'm anxious to try it out. But whenever you're using patina spray on metal, you have to use Prime Start first. So that's what I'm doing here. It may be too soon to concern myself with the jewelry of the piece, so to speak, as the hardware is, but I'm actually doing a live on Dixie Belle's homepage, and I am going to use part of this as my demo. One of the drawers was bowed on the underside, so I used heavy nails. I sprayed it with water, I misted it, and then I kept putting that weight on there. So hopefully that will flatten out, because I have to make sure that that particular drawer is nice and flat. So now it's time to sand. I'm going to get ready for paint, and I'm starting with 80 grit sandpaper, and then I'll go to a 120 and then finally a 220. I know I'm going to be painting this. I am surprised how quickly the paint comes off though. It tempts me to go the whole way, but I have a whole design thing in mind. With a new jar of paint and a new brush, I'm kind of in hog heaven here, and it's the little things that make me happy. And I'm just coating the drawer fronts with the dusty blue paint. And then I do some detailing on those ends. So this joint helps to date the piece. It's called a nap joint or cove and pin. It was only used on furniture commonly between 1870 and 1900, so that obviously lets us know that this is indeed an antique. But I'm just painting out those details on there just to make it look a little more special and highlight that artistry. I've painted the bottoms of the top two drawers with Dixie Belle's cotton. There was a little bit of bleed through, and it even came out more when I applied the clear coat sealer in flat. So I'm not worried about it because I'm putting decoupage paper on top of here, but the rest of my piece I'm also not worried because I'm using dusty blue and you won't see any bleed through. So just keep in mind, if you were planning on painting an old piece in a white color, that you would want to use a stain blocking primer first. So I'm just, after coating it with that clear coat in satin, I'm just laying down this decoupage paper, and this is also from Dixie Belle, and I am just doing the standard issue. It's rice paper, so it's kind of sturdy, so I don't really have any problem moving it around and getting the wrinkles out. And once I do, I put another coat of the flat sealer on top. Now I'm using Dixie Belle's Crazy Daisy stencil to put a design on one of the drawer fronts. I'm using Dixie Belle's cotton, Colonel Mustard, and the Best Stang brush, and just a little artist brush for the centers. Are you ready? I think this is so fresh and cute. I'm in love. I'm using an Iron Orchid Designs transfer in Painterly Florals, and I just use the grid lines to cut the right size that's just perfect for these drawers. A quick sand with 220 grit sanding sponge, and it's nice and smooth. And I have to just bring up this fabric and see how cute it looks with it. Pull up those little lavender pieces. I love it. I think it's so cute. And now I'm going to put those drawer handles on the daisy drawer. As I do, something's still bothering me. There's a line in between the two stencils. So after I fix that drawer handle, then I'm going to get busy taking care of what's bugging me about that drawer. Now I'm happy and love the way it looks. I begin sanding the rest of the piece. I'm still not sure what I want to do with the top, if I want to take it back to the natural wood or paint it out in the dusty blue. I can decide that later. I begin work on the upside down drawer that will hold the pet dishes. So if I haven't explained that by now, I'm taking the middle drawer and I'm actually using it upside down and measuring for 2 bowls. It'll have a silicone mat so it doesn't make a mess, and it'll have another cut out for a bin that will hold the doggy's toys. So I am starting by using a paddle bit just to make a circle in the middle to work from. That's what that looks like, and then I use the jigsaw to cut out the rest of the hole. The way I measured is by tracing the top of the bowl on, and then I measured in how wide the rim was and subtracted that amount. So once I got that, then I was able to get a cutout that will allow the bowl to go down in and fit and not go the whole way through. So I have to just adjust that a little bit, and then I think we've got what we need. Yeah. I have a rectangle bin that will fit on the other side. I've traced it, and now I'm measuring in from the rim again so that it won't fall through. I use that paddle bit in the corner because it's rounded anyway. And then after I do that, I realize that I can't see the line very well to cut on the jigsaw. So I take a Sharpie and I make sure that I am tracing over the line that I drew on the inside of the first one that I traced. I put the plastic container on there again just to make sure that I hit the right line. It was a little difficult to get in that corner simply because of the raised edges of the drawers, but I make it work by starting a diagonal cut. Now, tragedy struck as I was proceeding, and as I went into the side, the drawer split, and the drawer bottom split, and it kind of fell out. I wasn't going to replace the whole drawer bottom. I just kept going. And I decided that I was going to glue those pieces together because I thought about it, and lots of times wood glue joints are stronger than the actual wood in the first place. Case in point. So you can see how this just kind of pops out and it's not good. So I end up piecing it all together, and I simply use clamps and get it back together, let it dry. That's where it fell, and just carried on. So you can see I didn't labor over that too long. I just moved on. That's what you have to do when you're working on these projects, because if you quit every time something goes wrong, then you're going to have a bunch of unfinished projects laying around. That's my advice. Just watch your dog and you'll get some inspiration there. If he's trying to dig a hole, if it's not working out, he keeps trying and trying until he gets it, right? So let's take some advice and examples from our furry friends. I had to do that in sections, so while it was drying, I started on the outside of the piece and was doing a first coat. So I am using the dusty blue, and then I come in with some amethyst, which is a gorgeous purple color. So I'm not making sure that everything looks perfect this go round, but I'm just kind of using this as a guide as to where I want my colors to be. And I'm just doing a little section in the center of these little panels on the side. Again, I'm not going for perfection this time, but the idea is to use dusty blue and the amethyst, use a brush for each, having the paint be wet and using a mister bottle, and then using a neutral brush and wiping it off pretty frequently. These colors are not exactly easy to blend, but they are sort of similar in the same color family. The amethyst is so deeply pigmented, it's kind of difficult to blend, but you know, you get the idea. I take that same amethyst and I paint on the sides of the inside of the drawers. This drawer, it does have a split in it, but we're going to cover that up. We are going to use for the pet bed. So I'm not particularly concerned about that split because the drawers are really solid. So it's kind of like a panel. So back to the drawer that's going to go in upside down to house all those containers, my repair went pretty well and it feels pretty solid. And remember, it's only going to support a little plastic container that's going to hold a few toys. So I think we're safe there. And I use that same amethyst to just paint this out. And I have a really cool mat that's going to go on here. I am loving the way all these colors are coming together. And again with the dusty blue on the front of the drawer. And yes, I'll be using the daisy stencil on here as well. Back to the body of the dresser, I'm putting the second coat on and doing my blending again in the same way. I use a brush for each color, I make sure the paint is wet, and then I use a neutral brush and just go through and kind of muddy the colors, and then I come back in. You can add more color wherever you like, add more misting, and just work it until you get what you want to see. Don't let paint blending intimidate you. Just try it. And if you want to try it for a first time, start with colors that are easier to blend, like shades of a different color. That's the best way to start and to see the quickest results, and you won't get frustrated with that. I laid the silicone mat down where I wanted it, and then I went under the drawer and used a Sharpie and traced the 2 circles where the pet dishes will go. I can put the links to all these things that came from Amazon, and this is really a pet mat, and it comes in all sorts of colors. Things are coming together. I'm taking Big Mama's Butter in the unscented, and it has gotten a little warm in the shop, so it's a little bit on the oily side, but that's okay. What we're using this for is to lubricate the sides of the drawers so that they glide more easily. I do on the frame and in the front, and then I do the sides of the drawers as well. It also really enhances the wood grain on the sides of the drawers. So I wanted the drawers to be sort of a design moment when you open them because of the detail work I did on those coven pin joints. That really looks pretty. I don't even wipe it back. And you can see that I decided to paint the insides of the sides of the top drawers as well. So I decide that I'm going to paint the top of the piece in the dusty blue. But again, I still have some design ideas floating in my head. I'm now applying a second coat of the dusty blue, and when I finish this coat, I'm going to put, you guessed it, a paint inlay in. I'm going to use my favorite one, which is the rose chintz pattern. I'm working quickly because I have 4 sheets of paint inlays to apply. I am doing 2 at a time, so I am kind of working from the middle out. And I've already cut the edges off and matched up the sides, so I know that my pattern is going to match up here. This is an all-over pattern, so it isn't extremely critical, but I think it looks good to have that match up. And then you mist the dry sheets, and I'm smoothing out the wrinkles for the most part. It's pretty easy on this dresser top, and I repeat the same thing for the other side. While that's drying, I match up my drawers for the stencil. It's really hard to match it up, so I just kind of do my own thing. And while that's drying, I paint the inside of the bottom drawer. My inlays are still drying, so I'll come back and look at my fabric. I'm cutting some to do some decoupage in the bottom of the bottom drawer where I painted it white. I use Dixie Belle's clear coat in flat. I lay it all out and I paint underneath, and then I come back over it and paint over top of it, and then continue until I have the entire piece attached. The playlist for this challenge will be in my description box. I know you're going to love watching all of the videos in the playlist and subscribe to all of those channels. I bought an oversized pillow, and now I'm using the other piece of fabric to cover the dinosaur pattern that was on the one side. Meanwhile, back at the dresser top, it's time for the drama of the big reveal. I mist each panel and gently pull up each sheet to reveal the transfer of the inlay. It's so satisfying, and I just love this little floral. It's so pretty on any color that I use it on, and really pretty on this dusty blue. After that's dry, I come back and just kind of fill in some areas around the edge. Just match them up a little bit and just do a little bit around the side, just to make it look like it's not just a strip across. And this time I'm using Dixie Belle's clear flat sealer instead of paint. I used my lavender transfer scrap on the bottom panel of the side, and now I'm using that clear coat flat to add a few more inlays. Do you remember how this dresser started out? Let's take a look at what it looks like now. Thank you so much for watching today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Visit us at lavintagedecor.company. On Instagram, we're LaVintage Decor, and on Facebook, we're LaVintage Decor Altoona. Stay well.